Hi, everybody. My name is Joseph, and I'm here with another episode of Chocolate Travels. I'm here with Thierry from CriolloQuetzel. We're going to talk to Thierry and learn about the business that he started, and it's a very unique business. So we'll have a lot of fun talking about this. So welcome, Thierry. Nice to see you.
Hi, Joseph. Nice to see you.
So the first question, when did you fall in love with craft chocolate, with fine chocolate, and what attracted you to this the most? Did you always like chocolate? Was this relatively new for you?
Yeah. So, I would say chocolate was always part of my life. I grew up in a family. My father worked in that business. He worked for Nestle.
Okay.
It's not fine chocolate, but still chocolate.
Yeah.
So
So
that
you
was the
always
first,
had chocolate around.
exactly. On Christmas, we received huge chocolate boxes from Cahiers and stuff like that. The funny thing with this was that I indeed discovered fine chocolate and the real taste of chocolate when I was traveling to Colombia 4 years ago.
Okay.
I didn't have a clue that they were growing cocoa there, and even less that they were making chocolate. So I was just walking around, seeing some pods on trees, and what the hell is going on here? And also entered a little chocolate shop, and there it was like a to my head, and I discovered that chocolate indeed has a taste, and it's not that fat and sugary taste that I was used to, but
so
it really has a taste.
The shop that you went to, you saw that they were making chocolate from scratch.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And were you just visiting Colombia as a traveler, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was there with a friend for 3 weeks, backpacking and traveling around, and there really the first step was to see that they were growing cocoa, but also making it locally. Yeah.
So for somebody who grew up loving chocolate, did you really enjoy that new chocolate that you tried? Was it something that blew you away?
Yeah, totally. Because what I think the most amazing experience was to discover some tastes that I already knew, but without those ingredients. So, for example, the first bar I tried there had the smell and the taste of honey, but extremely strong taste. And I was like, oh, okay, so you're putting honey in your chocolate? And they were looking at me, well, no. That's just the taste of this origin. It was from Arauca in Colombia, and it's incredible to see. That was the first experience where you see, in fact, you have, like, for wine, a real terroir. That has a specific taste, and from there you start thinking about things, and they had like 10 different origins from Colombia in that shop, and everyone had a different taste, so it was really mind-blowing. Yeah,
that's amazing too, because nowadays, especially in the craft world, makers have country origins a lot, but you were in Colombia, and there was so much diversity just with Colombian cacao, which is amazing too, because even a lot of the Colombian origins that I encounter are usually a lot of the same origins repeated. You don't get a lot of diversity. So it's always nice to hear that there's even more out there that a lot of people haven't discovered yet. Wonderful. And so did you know anything about fine chocolate, craft chocolate? Did you hear, like in Europe, did you know about Bonnet or Amadé or any of these other craft chocolate bars? Or did that happen after Colombia?
Exactly. That everything started with Colombia, and then like little bricks that start building something nice.
Okay.
I saw different TV shows on everything that is going wrong in the chocolate business. Well, I knew that from before, from different family talks and stuff like that.
Right, right.
But still, so this on one hand, and then of course when I came back from Colombia, I started like walking around here and check out chocolate makers, handcrafted. So, but that was mostly disappointing, in fact, because here in Switzerland we have a lot of chocolate. Like chocolate is everywhere, but it's quite hard to find really handcrafted chocolate made from origin, etc.
Right.
So yeah.
It's interesting because there are, people always think of Switzerland, France,
Mm.
Belgium as the epicenter of chocolate. But
Yeah.
when it comes to fine chocolate, craft chocolate, it's quite lacking there. Why do you
Yeah,
think that is?
it's
Do you
not.
think
Yeah, yeah.
do you think customers have a certain perception of what chocolate is? Why is it in a place like Switzerland and hasn't quite
Yeah.
risen?
Well, that was also my first thought, that we are just brainwashed what what chocolate should be. But maybe we will talk later about that too. We also have a panel who tastes all the new brands we want to take in the shop. And they are very open-minded, in fact, and they are very happy to discover new tastes and amazing new combinations. So I don't think it's that, but what is very and extremely present here is that the industry has such an impact on all production levels, and it starts, and that's very impressive. For example, in hotel management, schools, etc., they are all sponsored by big business. We don't need to name them, but we have some of them here in Switzerland.
So it's harder for smaller craft makers to
Exactly.
make any
Yeah,
headway.
because you open a shop as a chocolate maker, and the day after you have like two representatives from the two big business wanting to sell their couverture and everything. So it's just easier to work like that. Some are doing bin to bar, but it's not the main business. Definitely not here.
Do you think that consumers in, say, Switzerland have more cultural attachment to companies like Lindt? Maybe they just, because in North America and US and
Yeah.
Canada, a lot of people now, when they see it's an independent shop, they get kind of excited. Oh, I want to support you because you're doing it yourself. But in Europe, it seems like in some places, people prefer trusted brands, whether it's Italy or Switzerland or whatever. Do you think that's part of the issue too?
Yeah, I think because it's also part here in Switzerland. A little, it's our. We are not specialized in thousands of things. It's not the same, but it's a little bit the same than for the banks. Don't attack a Swiss bank because they are the best ones and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's the same for Lynn, for Cahiers. It's also a cultural heritage. Cahiers, well, not Cahiers, but the guy before invented milk chocolate. So we're also proud of this history.
Right.
But sometimes I want us to say that history is nice, but you also have to see what this has become years later and be aware of all that.
Exactly.
So
a lot of people, it's good to mention that the achievements that Switzerland made in chocolate, which were huge and pivotal, but at the same time, the chocolate that's made today is not the same chocolate made back then, right? Not the same
Definitely not.
ingredients, right?
Yeah.
What does your family think of the chocolate you're bringing in?
They
Are they
like it,
okay?
but they won't buy tons of it. I mean, they're very happy with the chocolate they eat usually.
Interesting. Yeah.
But my parents are also really another generation. They are 82, so I mean, I won't change them at their age. So yeah.
Interesting, interesting. Okay. So one thing we haven't mentioned yet is that in your company, you purchase chocolate bars made from cacao growing regions only. So
Yeah,
why did you
exactly.
choose this approach? And
Mhm.
why does this matter to consumers, to
Yeah.
customers?
So it's even worse than that. We buy only chocolate from chocolate makers that who produce in cocoa producing countries, but with locally grown cocoa. So, for example, if let's say a producer in Madagascar produces chocolate locally, but with beans from Ghana, that doesn't work. So really, it has to be, everything has to be short circuit, short source, and just because the ingredients are the freshest ones, we know exactly where they come from. So you have the perfect traceability of everything.
So just to
And
clarify, does that mean
yeah,
that the maker is growing it as well, or not always, or sometimes?
sometimes we have both. We have bean to bar and tree to bar.
Okay.
So bean to bar, they really do everything from starting with the dried and fermented beans, and then tree to bar. Either they have their own plantations, or they have employees that are taking care of the plants there. So, but both exist. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And well, what made you decide this? Why did you choose this?
It's to me, it's the only possible way of just to be sure that things are done without any intervention of the industry. Because what we want to do is that the customer knows exactly where his money goes to. And as soon as you, yeah, I mean, you see it, it depends on the countries. But for example, here in Switzerland, we even see big brands that are starting doing bean to bar products. So just working together directly, knowing them in person with the growers, with the chocolate makers who are there locally in those countries is the only guarantee. You don't need any label, you don't need any marketing, you don't need anything of that. It's straight to the point, it's direct trade, and it's fair.
Yeah. No, that's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing because that's difficult to do these days
Oh
to
yeah.
have a business.
Yes.
That'll be my next question is how did you go about to find all these brands and bring them in? Like that must be because some countries are a lot harder to import from than others,
Yes. Yeah,
especially
definitely.
growing countries. It's not the same. Maybe for you it is, but in Canada it's very difficult for some.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what kind of work did you have to do? What kind of hurdles did you have to go through to get this done?
Well, so talking again about Colombia, that was 4 years ago, and then 1.5, no, 2 years later, we had the COVID epidemic.
Right.
And so I have a second job still at the moment because I can't live. We started 8 months ago with CriolloQuetzel, so it's not it's working well, but not enough to
Takes
pay
time.
a whole salary exactly. So I was working as a language school manager, and we had to close the school. So I was sitting here at home, and thinking about, well, let's start my dream business. And then basically I went 3 months on social media, on the internet, on your site, on, on everywhere, to collect addresses around the world. And for this, social media, Instagram and stuff like that is very helpful because, yeah, you follow one, they propose you three others. And so I was able to construct my file with all the addresses. But then, of course, it's extremely hard because you have the most complicated part of it is that it costs it's extremely expensive. So the transport costs are basically 40% of the whole costs. So it's huge. We work together with DHL, so the quality is there. We get the products; they're in good condition. We can import from all over the world, but it costs a hell of a lot.
Yeah. No, that's such an incredible project. When you first mentioned it to me, I thought, wow, this is something I haven't come across.
Crazy.
He is crazy, definitely. But it's wonderful too, because a lot of these makers that are not in North America, Europe, Australia, those kind of places, they kind of get forgotten a lot. You don't see them mentioned a lot, but they're still there. And what's amazing is that they have a different perspective on making chocolate. They see the cacao growing. They might have more of a hand in it. And when just like a business, if it's your business, there's more passion involved, there's more dedication involved, right? And that creates something special. So to highlight these makers must be very, it's wonderful for people like us who love the chocolate, but it's also wonderful for them for you to showcase them. And that's really, really nice.
Yeah, and what we also see is typically they're all, of course, located where cocoa grows. So many of these regions are touristic places. So that's also quite frustrating from what we hear from them, is that people come to their country, discover the chocolate, are amazed about the quality, and then they go back and they can't buy it anywhere. So this is something really missing because the people are interested. They know about those brands, but then they go back and that was it. So
one thing I have
this
to
also
say,
helps.
One thing I have to say is that when you see a lot of retailers who, they start up, and that's wonderful, but they're always selling the same brands. And it's, even if it's not from cacao growing regions, there's some small brands out there that are beautiful, are incredible, are wonderful, but they don't get the recognition because they don't have the branding or whatever it is. And it's nice to see other retailers reach out to makers. Like you said, you have a panel that sits down and you discern them, and you don't care how well known it is. If it's a beautiful chocolate, you want to buy it. And I think that's really what I'm passionate about. Is I don't really care about your branding, who you are, how many awards you won. What are you doing, and are you doing an incredible job? And that's what I want to highlight. So I think that's really incredible. I think you kind of mentioned it, but so what criteria do you and whoever's helping you, what criteria do you use to select brands or bars? What are you looking for?
So not obviously the design or the packaging or whatever, what is very important for other brands. So we have different things in the shop, let's say it like that. Some are very funky, good looking. Others are very simple, just paper wrapping, and that's it. So that's not a criteria. What is definitely the most important to us is that the panel enjoys the product. We have around 10 tasters who are doing all the selections, and basically that's it. We have very small batch producers. So for some products we have like 50 bars per year available, nothing, but they still can participate. And then it's out of stock for the rest of the year, but doesn't matter. We have all sizes of bars. We have everything. And then what is very important to me personally, and that's maybe my first selection before I accept any samples from a new producer, is to see how they work, that they work in direct trade with their, if they are bean-to-bar producers, that they work direct trade. I want to know if they have any social or environmental commitments. We talk about that a lot during our first meetings with them. But still there, when we started, it was a bit, we only want makers that work like that. But then we discovered that basically they all work like that. So for them it's quite normal, because it's as you said, it's they are passionate about what they do, and as long as you work like that, you need to do it in a sustainable way. You can't just buy stuff that won't exist anymore in 5 years.
Right. I mean, if they're a small maker in a growing country and they're mistreating their employees or whatever they're doing, people are not going to like that, right? It's not, why would they want to do that sort of thing to their neighbors and to their people? So, that's a really good point, because in the developed world, we need a lot of these certifications to kind of promise that something good is happening. But isn't it better to cut a lot of the middleman if you can, and just have that clear, transparent view of what's going on and what's happening? I think that's wonderful. Yeah. Good.
And that's also what we share with the clients. For example, for every bar, you really know who the grower is. You have the location of the farm. You know who it is. So, I mean, what can you do more?
What do you say to overwhelmed customers? Let's say customers come to your website, and especially maybe some of them have been in the craft chocolate world, and they're like, I don't see this one and this one. Where's all these makers that I usually see everywhere else? Or even just people new to chocolate. How do they start? How do they decide what to buy?
It's we do both. We are on the website, and there we have one entry that works very well. We have implemented different kind of filters, and the first one is really chocolate with what. So, for example, chocolate with fruits, chocolate with spices, etc., etc. And this is the filter that is definitely mostly used. And that's also the feedback we have from the customers, from future customers, when we are on a market or on a fair or somewhere where we have direct contact with them. They're standing in front of the booth, and they're just, oh God, you have so many different things there. And I always say, well, what kind of food do you like? Do you like Indian food? Do you like fruits? Do you like whatever? And then it's so interesting that you can combine chocolate with so many different things. You can even do chocolate and cheese tastings, chocolate and whatever you want.
Yeah.
And so if the answer is, well, I like fresh, fruity things, then okay, start with bars with fruit inclusions, for example. And it's always, I think, the best entry to do things like that. Not to go, of course, we have some exotic tastes and stuff, but these are usually bought in a second or a third time. So it's a step-by-step
Right.
process, also for the clients. I think that's what works best.
So it sounds like if someone's a very beginner of fine chocolate, you push them more towards the inclusions that you think they would like. Is that what you're saying?
For example, because we have and that depends also very much on the market we are talking about. Again, here in Switzerland, dark chocolate is not mostly consumed. It's
Right.
milk.
Milk and hazelnut,
So,
right?
already the first step to bring people to
Mm,
really dark chocolate is sometimes a bit hard.
yeah.
So it's indeed a good entry point to combine this dark chocolate with something different, just to let them enter that world, and then to go on more specific things, single origin, single farm with very specific tastes. But they go there finally.
Yeah. No, that's good. It's nice. It's good to ease people in. That's something I
Yeah.
learned over the years was, you want people to appreciate the single origins, but for some people, they can go right into it, and some people need a
Yeah.
bit of time to get there. So no, I think that's good. If they like, let's say, inclusions with fruity notes and they really like it, maybe one day they'll appreciate the dark chocolate with the fruity notes as well, right? It's
Exactly.
interesting that you say Swiss like milk chocolate, because in Canada, a lot of people, when you ask them what kind of chocolate, like, oh, I love Swiss chocolate, but I only eat the dark one. So it's like people
Okay. Yeah.
here who like Swiss only like the dark, but then the Swiss are eating all the milk. So it's
Yeah,
kind of funny.
absolutely. Yeah. And that's also for if you see it's, some brands. Well, one example is the Toblerone. It's not Swiss anymore, but doesn't matter. That's a detail. The original one is the milk one, and then they started to do dark one and white one. But firstly, you could only buy them in duty-free shops,
Is the
because
choice.
they were made for tourists. Exactly. So
Interesting.
it's always the same.
That's interesting. Wonderful. Well, I think we have to wrap it up soon, but I think there's so much we can talk about. Maybe we should do another another discussion another day.
Sure, why not?
Why don't we just tell people, how can they connect with you and your business, and who do you ship to? How can people connect with these chocolate bars?
Yeah. So at the moment we have our online shop. So for everyone who is in Switzerland, they can of course buy on the Swiss side, and also, as I said, on fairs and everywhere else where we are present. But you can also buy from all over Europe. We have the site accessible from different countries, and we ship to all European countries. It's still the same. Shipping from Switzerland is a bit more expensive than from other countries all over Europe. So we'll see, maybe in the next month or years, we will open also just a location, maybe in France or Germany, to ship directly from there. Sorry,
Right.
to have a bit lower
Okay.
freight costs. But at the moment, it's possible all over Europe, no
Okay.
problem.
And at the moment, you're not shipping outside of Europe.
Well, we can. We had requests from where was it? From Australia once.
Okay.
You can contact us by email,
Mm,
and then we just send you a quote on depending on what how many bars you want to order. We look for the price and inform you about that. But no problem.
wonderful.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
possible too.
Excellent. I think a lot of these crazy craft chocolate people are going to start contacting you now, because you have these such unique bars that they need to try.
Might be.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Terry. It was really, really nice to talk to you. I think the work
Thank
you're
you so
doing,
much to you.
oh, thank you. I think the work you're doing is incredible. I hope you keep it up, and I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with your business.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all the work you do, for connecting all those people in this fantastic business domain all over the world. So yeah, let's stay in touch, and thanks a lot.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Take care.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Download the free Bean to Bar app to connect with incredible chocolate makers from around the world. Also be sure to visit beantobarworld.com, your portal for all things fine chocolate, virtual tastings, free learning resources, research, and much more. Subscribe to the newsletter to stay in touch, and donate to the free app and free resources here. Contact me for any chocolate-related questions you may have.